All right, Grand Rising, my fellow imaginations, fellow Elohim. Welcome to another sunny Sunday after one great I am awakening. I'm Chris Taylor, one of your hosts, and with me normally is my partner in mind and in spirit, Sir T. But he's not here at the moment, but he may be joining us momentarily. He's actually double, multitasking, double tasking, but hopefully he gets a chance to join us in this discussion for today. All right, so today we're going to be talking about a rather very overly used and mostly misunderstood concept of giving and receiving. You know, we've been taught that it's better to give than to receive. So we've kind of got half of the truth and not quite the whole truth, you know. So we've been given a half of the equation, but we're here today to give you guys the true and full meaning of what they mean when they say it's better to give than to receive. All right. In essence, giving is receiving. All right. In order to receive, you have to give. So, and if any one of you listening out there and right here on the platform, you can identify with that when you're related to a farmer and stuff like that. In order for the farmer to get a crop, he has to first give it to the soil. All right. So keep that in mind. Now we're going to talk about that in depth. But we have a video and audio from Reverend Ike, a very short audio today, simply titled The Law of Giving and Receiving. All right. So it is a law. All right. It is a law. This is why they make the statement it's better to give than to receive, because it's a law that works in that order. All right. It has an order in which it works. But we've never been taught the exact, way how to use the law. Just manipulated in by the churches and by misinformation by our society, community, and the people that grow up in the world, our parents and stuff like that. So we haven't really been given the right way to use that law. Matter of fact, we were never told it was a law to begin with. Growing up, we don't know anything about cosmic laws. Never knew that word, cosmic. Never used it. Never, even acknowledge it in any way. The only law we know is law of the land. The police or courts or just general laws that governs the community, governs the country and whatnot. So we don't know anything about cosmic or universal laws. Didn't even talk about the law of gravity and all these things, or the law of lift. But the law of all laws, is our consciousness. All right. The law of all laws is our consciousness, and it's universal, and it is what brings everything together in essence, eventually anyway. So today we're going to talk about that, break down what it is to give and receive, and have a very short tape from Reverend Ike. We're going to play it to just lay the foundation from his perspective, and then we're going to come back and add to it even some more layers to open up our eyes to certain aspects of day-to-day life and how we can relate to the audio itself, and in particular this message today, talking about why the law of giving leads to receiving. All right, so a different way to look at it, why the law of giving leads to receiving. So let me pull up this audio. First, let me recognize Sir Devon is here and Natara. Hopefully we get some more people to join us in the interim to, fellowship and get this message and to, pretty much practice it, practice it in our own lives. Remember, this year we have made a conscious effort to work on the art of manifesting. So what is that? That is to get better at receiving the things that we desire. So we've been conceptualizing a lot of techniques, different ways per Neville Goddard. Reverend Ike is a student of Neville Goddard. And many other students of Neville that we've used using his message. Acknowledging our imagination, that it is the creator of the cosmic universe and of everything that we see or don't see. All of us have an imagination, so we can identify with that. Remember, we were made in the image and likeness. So if we have an imagination, it has to have been the one grand imagination in which everything comes from, moving and having our being. All right. So, but we've made a conscious effort to identify that we want to strengthen our imagination, strengthen our power within, our consciousness within, and having the ability to produce or manifest more easily or frequently than ever before. And so we've been going at this now for about, we're in the 7th month of the year, July. So we've started this new direction since January. And so I hope, those of you who are here and who are out there watching and whatnot can see some changes, see some increase in your awareness. And if you have increase in your awareness, you will have increase in possession. Okay. That's exactly how it works. It's always going to be identical harvest. If your mind has grown, so will your possessions, things that you come in alignment with. In mind, you're going to come in alignment with, in a physical form at some point. All right. But the first alignment starts within your own mind. So as a result, we've been coming up with different techniques, topics each and every week to have, it's almost like having different exercise for the same muscle. Okay. You're exercising the same muscle, and the muscle here is our consciousness, our imagination. And we're changing it up every week, adding different layers, different, what I call it, positions, or resistance, frequency, intensity, all that stuff, just to make sure that we are getting the workout from all different angles. We're strengthening many different parts of the one muscle, our consciousness. So it's the same thing. We're just doing it, the way we're doing it here, using Neville Goddard and Reverend Ike and, many others who come to mind to help us to get to our goal. All right. So I hope that you guys are seeing some benefits mentally and also physically in the way we've been, approaching this year's lessons on the One Great I Am Awakening. So that said, let's take a listen to this audio, and then we're going to come right back to break down our findings. All right. So give me a second here. Bring this back up. Here we are. Reverend Ike, the law of giving and receiving. Let's take a listen and we'll be right back. 1 second.
And now Reverend Ike's fourth commandment of money. And right after this is when we should take up the second offering. Reverend Ike's fourth commandment of money, thou shalt give right about money. Ladies and gentlemen, once you learn the secret of giving, all of your problems of receiving will be over. And I'm not simply talking about just giving cash or that good green stuff, but all of life correctly understood is giving. You give of yourself to life. And life gives of itself to you, just as you give of yourself to life. Anyone who truly learns how to give becomes rich in every way. And I want you to understand, when I say money, for example, I'm talking about more than just the beautiful green stuff that I like so well. And I want to share my definition for money with you at this time. To me, money is the getting power of the mind. Money is the being power, the doing power of the mind. Money is the power of acquisition. Whatever acquires, whatever gets, that is money. So ultimately, mind power is money. Self-image is money, because whatever you feel yourself as possessing will be brought to you, will be bought for you in mind. So let's just simplify our definition, our working definition of money at this time, and let us say that money is the acquiring power of the mind. Together, money is the acquiring power of the mind. And you see, this kind of money is money that is even beyond dollars or guilders or pesos or whatever you call it in the coin of your particular realm. Whatever acquires, that is money. And ultimately, that is resident in your mind. Thou shalt give right about money. There's a beautiful saying that I want to share with you at this time also. Someone has said, whatever you want, give some of it away. Isn't that interesting? You want some more money? Give some of it away. You want some more love? Give some more love away. You want more happiness? Give some more happiness away. Share what you are, the good which you have, with others, with life. And life will bless you abundantly.
Wow, wow, wow. What a simple audio, simple lesson from Reverend Ike, but very profound. So I was taking notes. I hope you guys were taking some of these notes yourself. Actually, I am going to share what I took. Share the notes. What is this in here that I took down with you guys? So you can look at it yourself. All right, here we are. So copy and paste. All right, so you guys can, read along if anything. But some of the keynotes I took away from what Reverend Ike was saying right here where he said that, and these are his commandments, you know. I want to go back over this tape and others to write down some commandments about money. You know, we have the 10 commandments, and it's important to also know about the 10 commandments or however many they are about money. Okay. So I'm going to give you also some other reference as to what money really is or means and other symbolic stuff as well. Okay. Well, look at what I just said. Thou shalt give right about money. All right. Thou shalt give right about money. Next one, all of life correctly understood is in your giving. All right. All of life correctly understood is in your giving. Another one, anyone who truly learns how to give becomes rich in every way. Anyone or everyone who truly learns how to give becomes rich in every way. So he's not talking just about money, but in every way, meaning, you know, whatever it is that you give. Money is the being, doing, and getting power of the mind. Money is the being, doing, and getting power of the mind. Mind power and self-image is money. Mind power and self-image is money. Money is the acquiring power of the mind. Money is the acquiring power of the mind. And lastly, whatever you want, give some of it away. Didn't say all of it, he says some of it. Whatever you want, give some of it away. So how can we break this down in what Reverend Ike is saying here? You know, this is a rather profound revelation about giving versus receiving, you know. Again, we've been taught to, it's better to give than to receive. So when you go to church, we've been always instructed to give our 10% of our income. And that is a half truth. They're not telling you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Okay, they're giving you a half truth. So let's break it down, all right, to understand this receiving and giving stuff. First of all, when you're reading the Bible about tithing, you know, we've been taught to give 10% to the Lord. Now, if you really honestly make sense of it, what can you give to the Lord who already has everything? The Lord already have everything. So what is there to give? Mm-hmm. So we've been taught that, okay, give money, 10% of our income, what we've made, and we're to give it to the Lord. And, you know, these days they call it a seed. And you will receive a blessing so big that you will not have enough to hold it and stuff like that. And yet still, most of the people who are in church, who go to church and give even their last, because they've also been encouraged to give their last, them still broke. Been going to church for 30, 40, 50 years and still not have nothing. So the pastor has been lying, because according to the Bible, it says, you know, you'll be blessed more abundantly just because you're giving. They tell you to sow seeds and all these different things. Sow $1,000 a seed, but they don't explain the concept in the right way. All they focus is on giving away money. Money that you don't even have. These days they have credit card machines in the church. and ATM machines. Now you can scan their WhatsApp um, angle and give that way. So you can't tell them, say, you don't have the money again. they have added any and every way that there is to for you to give, but they still haven't taught you what the real art of giving is. Maybe they don't know, or if they tell you, you will stop giving away your money. Okay, because the only God or entity to give to is to yourself. Everything you're giving is to yourself. You're not giving anything to anybody. Okay? The first art of giving is given to yourself. You're always giving to yourself, whether you know it or not. When you say stuff like, as we've been taught, money is the root of all evil, you're giving that to yourself. You're giving that concept, that perception to yourself. Because who is hearing it? Or who is knowing it when you think it? Not you. Even when somebody tells you to say that, or they tell you that's what it really is, the minute you expose yourself to that nonsense, you know have given it to yourself. You're not giving it to no Lord, to no God. You're giving it to yourself. So this will explain why in any particular time in our lives, we have programmed our subconscious mind, who is the Lord, by the way. That's the Lord you're giving to. The Lord within you is your subconscious mind. The giver in you is the conscious mind. Okay? So the conscious mind is given to the subconscious. The conscious mind represents the 10% that the Bible says to tithe. Tithing is not money. Tithing is desiring of something. It's giving in mind something to your other mind, the subconscious. That is tithing. Tithing is not money. Okay? And we're going to touch on another concept of what money symbolically is. But the 10% that you're given, that you own, according to scripture, give 10% of your possessions. Okay? Well, again, the 10%, the 10 is your conscious mind, because 10% of our function is in the conscious mind. 10% of your daily function is in your conscious mind. The other 90% is subconscious. All right? So the 10 and the 90 equals 100. That's your 100%, but you only can give 10% because you're only most of the time, all of the time, working with your conscious mind only 10% of the time. Meaning that, why 10? Because part of it is the 10 represents the Hebrew letter Yod. Okay? Yod is the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Its numerical value is 10. And it is the shape of a hand. And a hand is what you use to give form to something or to things. This is why we were named man, because man means hand. Manual, that's why them say manufacturer. Go to the manufacturer, manufacture. Go to the manual. You are doing something, you're always doing something. So we are named man because we can shape things, we can do all these different things. And in Spanish, the word of manos means hand. When they say manos, they're talking about your hand in Spanish. So that's a dead giveaway right there. Okay? So that's why we have that name, mankind, because we can do, we can make, we can give form to things. However, no matter how much giving you do or how much action you're doing, it's always going to be 10% of your ability as a conscious person. Okay? The other 90% is always subconscious. Always. Because 90% of the time we're operating subconsciously and we don't even realize it because it becomes automatic. We've become autonomous. How do you know that? Well, as a child coming up, you learn to walk, you learn to hold your head up, you learn to creep, you learn to walk, you learn to stand up, you're doing all these different things. But once you learn them, you don't relearn them anymore. It is over with. Once you learn to walk, there's no more thinking about how to do it. The thinking about how to do it was the 10%. When you start to do it now, that's the 90% that has copied and give back what you first gave it. What you first gave in thought is now being given back to you in the physical. You think about how you're going to walk. You don't remember these things as a baby, but you were thinking what to do, where you're going to step. You know you might fall. You know you can fall. You know these things within yourself. But you never give up. You keep on giving it in mind and in your action. You know, you're physically practicing it. And after a while, unbeknownst to you, it just becomes normal or natural is even a better word. Everything that becomes natural is now a subconscious behavior. Okay? Because we don't think about how to get up and walk. We just get up and walk. Then you start to learn how to, feed yourself and all these different type of things. You learn how to eat by yourself. And after a while, nobody don't have to feed you. You start doing it yourself. Even if you're making a mess, it becomes automatic. And you grow up in life doing all these things without even consciously thinking about what you're doing. You just do it. But in the beginning, when you did not know what you were doing, you had to actually think about it. Okay. And so in your own mind, there are 4 steps that you're normally taking, unbeknownst to you, in order to make something become known to yourself. You're going to end up at a place where they call unconscious competence. So the first thing you're going to have is unconscious incompetence, meaning you don't know that you don't know. Okay, you're unconsciously incompetent. That's the first step in everything in life. Unconscious incompetence. No matter what it is, you learn how to ride a bicycle. At first, you're unconsciously incompetent. You do not know that you don't know how to ride the bicycle. However, you're going to attempt to ride the bicycle. When you start riding the bicycle now, you get to the next level, which is conscious incompetence. Now you know that you don't know how to ride the bicycle. You're falling all over the place, bruising up your legs and all kind of stuff because you don't know what you're doing. But you know that you don't know. So first, you're unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know what you're doing. But when you try doing it, now you know. How you know? Because you failed at what to do it correctly. You failed at it. So now you know you don't know how to do it. But as you persist, you get to the next step, which is conscious competence. Now you know what you're doing. You're conscious that you know what you're doing. You got it. Now you know how to ride the bicycle. Okay? You've gone through the first 3 steps. Unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, no conscious competence. Now you know that you know you have learned how to ride the bicycle. And then the last step is unconscious competence. Almost sound backwards are funny. Unconscious competence, you know what that means? It simply means you don't have to think about what you know. You just do it. You have no conscious thought in what you're doing. You just do it. So you're unconscious. To be conscious means to know or to be 5 sensory alert. How many times have we put something somewhere and we don't know where we put it? We were unconscious when we were doing it. Or how many times have we put something down where we normally put it, but we don't remember when we did it? We just know it's there. Have no idea when we put this thing where we normally put it at. Because you have created a program in which every day you come in, it goes to the same place, same place, same place. After a while, you don't even think about when you're doing it. You just walk in the house and it is you who is doing the act, but you have no conscious awareness. It's like it's 2 of you. Okay? One part of you conscious, the other part unconscious. And it's a switch. They go on and off, on and off. Okay? Your mind knows when to consciously attend to something. Then it knows when to just do something automatically. All right? So when you get to that unconscious competent stage, you are now operating at 90% efficiency. No longer 10, 90%, almost 100. Everything you do is easy. You know, no effort, effortless effort at that point. But the first times you're doing it, it requires effort. That 10% requires effort. So that is you tithing to your subconscious mind. You're always giving to the subconscious mind, which is the Lord. Okay? You're always giving to it. So if you tell yourself, I am not worthy, that's what you're giving to your subconscious mind, that you are not worthy. That's how they taught us how to pray. This is foolishness. Lord, talking to your subconscious mind, I know I'm not worthy, but if it is your will, you already said, I am not worthy. When you use the word I am, you're talking about your God power, your imagination. Okay? You're talking about the infinite power, the infinite awareness. So when you say I am not worthy, you have already given that I am not worthy to the Lord. Even when you say but, I'm not worthy, but if you think I can ever become rich or ever buy my first home, or if it's in your will, see, you're giving away your power to some entity that don't even exist. And so what we've programmed our subconscious. So the subconscious now has this program within it that you've already reminded it every time, I am not worthy. So it gives you experiences which will show you that you're not worthy. You may get the money or even the house, and in some way, shape, or form, you end up losing it because the program is there to give it to you and take it right back because you're not worthy. In order for you to be not worthy, you have to end up losing it. Okay? So you are always giving and you receive what you give. So if you give zero, if you tell yourself you're not worthy, you give zero. Well, if you give zero, what can be given back to you? Zero. If you don't plant um, a mustard seed, let's use this example from scripture. If you don't plant a mustard seed in the ground, what the ground going to give back? Nothing. It won't give you back anything because what you gave is zero. Zero from zero leaves zero. All right. If you go in front of the mirror with no clothes on, the mirror cannot give you clothes. It cannot reflect clothes. It's impossible. It will never happen. Okay? It has to give back to you what you give to it. So the 10% is you consciously desiring something, contemplating, imagining, thinking, meditating. That is you consciously doing something. All right? And it is being given, it is received by the subconscious. Then the subconscious mind comes full circle and gives it right back. Okay? So you're always planting, you're always giving to your greater awareness. The subconscious is the greater part of your consciousness. Your consciousness is one, but has a duality about it. Okay, one part is conscious, one part subconscious. One part gives, one part receives, and then gives back what it received. All that part of you can do, the subconscious mind, it must first receive. Okay, what it does, it deducts from you, from the conscious mind, what the conscious mind is giving. Okay, it deducts or takes away, subtracts, takes in. And whatever it takes in, it takes that and put it into form, the life-making spirit, the life-giving spirit, and then it gives it right back to you. The soil, that's what the soil does. It is the exact replica of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. The farmer is the conscious mind, and the soil is the subconscious. All right? The soil is feminine, the farmer masculine. Doesn't matter if the farmer is female or male. You're acting from a masculine principle to give. The first giver, the tither. So you tithe to the soil, 10%. Anything you give to the soil is 10% because you're consciously doing it. Then the soil gives you back that 10% multiplied. You get it back tenfold, hundredfold. You plant a tree, you get back another tree. Sorry, you plant a seed, you get back a tree with 1,000 seeds. Now you can go plant 1,000 trees. And it goes on and on and on and on, over and over. So you see, and why it is important to give, because you cannot receive unless you give. And the giving and receiving is opposite sides of the same coin. They're not two coins. They're not two different, objects or whatever. If you want to use that example, it's one coin with two different sides. They work together. You understand? It's the right hand and the left hand. they need each other. Cannot exist without the other. Okay? It has to be that law in how the mind works. If you want to use your brain, which is the physical representation of the mind. You have a right brain and a left brain. And I think I posted a video. You guys should check it out in the room. It's called The Divided Brain. I think it's in that room as well. The Divided Brain. Check that out. Very profound stuff. Okay? But it's telling you that the left brain is your conscious brain, the brain that thinks and reason and logical stuff like that. The mind, the brain of reasoning. Okay, and it controls the right hand. The right side controls the left hand, or the left side. Left brain controls right side. The right brain controls the left side. So it's telling you, you have this little crisscross going on. But the right brain, the right side of your brain is where it's at. Because on that brain, it has your imagination, it has your intuition. That brain receives everything from the left. The left gives to the right, gives it instruction. And it is this brain that autonomizes or makes everything autonomous. What's going on within your body, your breathing, your heartbeat, anything. Processing of your food that you eat, all these different things is autonomous. You don't have to think about doing anything because it's the brain, that part of your brain that works just like the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind autonomizes everything. It works tirelessly, which means it doesn't sleep. Always at work, never sleeps. Okay, so the brain is two. You have one brain in your head, but it has two sections. Everybody knows that. And same thing with your consciousness. One mind, one consciousness, but has a duality about it. It's no accident that everything about us is in twos. 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 lips, 2 hands, 2 feet. We have 2 lungs, 2 kidney. You understand? We have 1 heart, but we have blood going and coming, circulating. It's a 2-way valve. Okay? Everything about you is in twos, but you're in one piece, so to speak. But you're operating as a duality. Then we have man and woman. There's no accident where we have 2 sexes. Everything is in twos because the power, the divine source, consciousness, is 2 in operation. 2 parts. So it is always giving and receiving. That's where that giving and receiving comes from. The consciousness itself has to give and receive. Okay? It has to be given all the time what it desires to receive, to experience. In the end, you always end up having to give to yourself what it is that you desire. Okay? I was listening to another tape with Reverend Ike where he mentions that he was talking about money. So we kind of want to also focus a lot on money in this lesson today, because we were taught some negative about money, that money is evil, money is the love. What is it? Money is the root of all evil. Money is not that important. It's easier for a rich man to. It's easier for a camel to go to the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to heaven. So we've been taught all these nonsense, and we have cursed money unconsciously, meaning that we did not know that's what we were doing. We did not know it was a curse. We were just repeating, regurgitating what we were taught. And as a result, your subconscious mind does not have a sense of humor. It does not care if you did not know. It's going to record everything you thought and said about money. And it will explain why we struggle when it comes to money. Because we have programs in our mind, primarily our subconscious, that is always there running in the background. And every time money topic comes up, it activates and kind of remind us, hey, this is what you thought about money. So even when you tell yourself, say, I am rich, it's not even natural. It's not flowing because we never grew up believing that we can be rich or that we deserve to be rich. We've been taught to worry about going to heaven and escaping hell and all this nonsense. And that's why we struggle when it comes to manifesting money or possessions of any kind. Anything we're trying to manifest, it requires money. So in the end, that is the objective that we're working on, is to make money feel natural to us. Why you think Trump and all these people out there, no matter how many times these guys file bankruptcy and all this type of stuff, it comes right back? Because to them, money is natural. But they feel like they deserve money. They feel entitled, deserving. They expect to have the money. They expect it. And you always get what you expect. So if we're desiring to be rich one day or to be well off, if you want to use that word, there is a part of us within us that does not align with what we're saying. And we know it because we've spent many years, more than we are programming these negative thoughts, our programs, than we've spent reprogramming our consciousness. You know, we've spent maybe 75%, 80% of our lives with bad programming. We got 20% of the time reprogramming our lives. So that's the problem. We spend more time in the negative than the positive. So it's not going to come easy. It's something that you have to be redundant in doing over and over until your subconscious accepts it. So every time you're desiring something or thinking of something, the only person you're trying to convince of it is yourself. This is why it's always easier for someone to see you having something than you yourself, or vice versa. It's always easier for you to see someone having something than they can see for themselves, because it's natural to you when you see somebody else saying they desire this, they desire that. Like, girl, I want to buy a nice Beamer. Yeah, man, you can do it. I see it. I can see it right now. It's natural. It's easy because it's not you. When it comes to you know your situation. You know your bank account is not right. You know your credit score is not right. You know the economy is slow now and this and that and the third. You know your job is not as busy as it used to be. So you use all these things to justify why it might not be possible. Because we've been taught we're going to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So All we've been doing is hoping for things. We've never given ourselves, truly give ourselves the things we desire. All we do is hope. I hope one day, I hope I can, I hope I will, I hope so. We've been taught to hope. When you hope, you've already given up your power because you're not consciously operating the power. No, you're hoping that some other entity or person or some strange phenomenon will align and give it to you. You don't know that you are constantly giving to yourself. When you're hoping and wishing and praying where they taught us how to pray, you're giving to yourself, but you're not giving to yourself in a natural state. You have reservations about it. So giving is something that we're always doing. It's always something that we're doing. And to go back to the duality now, if we use the parable book, the book of mind science in Genesis, where it tells us that two trees were planted in the midst of the garden. First of all, the garden is not a garden as we know it. Not talking about a garden with dirt and fruit trees and grass and all this type of stuff. The garden here is your mind. Okay? So let's align with that. You were placed in the garden of Eden. Two trees. One tree is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. One tree is the tree of life. There's the duality again. The tree of knowledge is your conscious mind. Why is it the mind of knowledge? Because when you desire something, you know you're desiring it. When you're experiencing something, you know that you're experiencing it. It's the mind of five senses. And when it comes to know something, it knows it. When you learn something, the conscious mind now knows that it knows. I know how to drive a car. Nobody has to convince me of that anymore. I know that. So it's the mind of knowledge. And it's always the mind that's desiring. It's the mind that comes to contemplate something a solution, something that's going to save the circumstances or whatnot. But in truth and in essence, it's the mind that has come to know. It's the mind that knows what it's experiencing, if it's either good or bad, good or evil. It's the mind that knows that based on the experience. So it believes in a double standard, so to speak. It's double-minded in a way. And it's on purpose. It has to be that way. Don't let nobody fool you that it was sin. The conscious mind has to have that capability or ability. That's how it works. It's a law within the mind. It cannot be one directional like the subconscious. It cannot, because it's the mind that gives things definition. Desire something. I want this, I don't want that. It has to have the ability to choose. I want it this way, not that way. You know? And then you have the other mind, which is the tree of knowledge. I mean, the tree of life. And that's your subconscious mind. Those two trees are in the midst of the garden. It tells you you shouldn't eat from the tree of knowledge. People misconstrue that too, thinking it's an actual tree or with some fruits. You should eat from the tree of life. Why? the tree of knowledge, if you eat from that tree is going to, 1 minute it believes and the next minute it doesn't, just to keep it simple. It's wishy-washy, double mind. It's the mind that only accepts what it knows. If it doesn't know, can't convince it. So that's why you should not eat from that tree. Why should you eat from the other tree? Because that tree gives life. That tree is going to give life to your desire. So what they're telling you is the conscious mind cannot eat from itself. Okay? You cannot give birth with the same sex. They have to be opposite. Okay? So the conscious mind cannot give birth to itself or to anything. So the conscious mind has to eat from the subconscious, the mind that is life-giving. Whatever it is you desire consciously, eat from the subconscious mind. To the subconscious mind, everything is. There is no duality. Everything is. The impossible is possible. Doesn't matter what it is to the subconscious. So you are instructed to eat from that tree in your garden of Eden. Eden means bliss, prosperity. That's what it means. Okay, but these two trees exist in this garden on purpose. One is the farmer, the conscious mind planting the seed, and the other one is the soil, the subconscious. How could they not exist together? Can a tree plant itself, a seed? It needs a soil to grow. If it sits on top of the soil, it's not going to do anything. So somebody has to insert the seed into the soil. So this is why there is two, or one above, one below. Okay? So you are always giving in, planting into the subconscious the thing that you desire, only to receive it right back tenfold. And if you don't give the soil the seed, you are still giving. You're giving nothing. So you get back nothing. All we do is give as conscious beings. We're always giving and we're always receiving. So we think because we don't see the thing or have it tangibly that we didn't receive it. Yes, we're always receiving, always. If you use another example, if you go to the bank and you want to be able to withdraw $10,000 one day, guess how much you have to put in the bank? $10,000. In some cases, depending on what um, bank it is or account it is, you can put less and it multiplies to that. But just using the example that in order for you to withdraw something, you have to first give it. The bank is not going to give you money that you don't have in it. You go to the ATM with the ATM card, if there's zero balance in your bank, the ATM is not going to give you back anything, not even by mistake. It will not happen. Can't do it. Because it's going to identify, you don't have anything that you gave me. I didn't receive any deposits. So how am I going to give back? So you see, we do all these things naturally, operationally, daily, through our daily lives, by way of how the conscious mind works. I mean, how your consciousness works, the conscious and the subconscious. They're always exchanging ideas, concepts, whatnot, good or bad. So it's the same concept right there. In order for you to get something back, you have to give it. Luckily, in consciousness, primarily, your invisible power. You don't have to give a lot to get back a lot. You just have to give 10% as instructed in the Bible. 10%, meaning just the desire, just the idea. That's the 10%. Give that and do not worry about how it is going to happen, how it is going to grow, how it is going to manifest, how it is going to develop. You doing that is you giving it back to yourself. It's like you haven't planted it yet if you're doing that. That's the conscious mind trying to impregnate the conscious mind. That's a man trying to impregnate a man, a woman trying to impregnate a woman. It can never happen. They have to be opposite. And a woman cannot impregnate a man. So it have to be done the right way. Your subconscious cannot impregnate your conscious because the conscious mind is unable to be pregnant. It's the mind that gives, that impregnates the subconscious. The subconscious is the feminine. That's why it's 90% or 9 months. And the conscious mind is 10%. Okay? Which the 10, again, if you guys just joining us, represents the Hebrew letter, the Yod, which is the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And it is the shape of a hand, means to give form to something, to design something, to shape it. Okay? Give it the shape, what it looks like, then you put it inside the oven, which is the subconscious, and the subconscious bake it and give it back to you. But you have to first give it form. That's the Yod, the conscious mind. This is why we think and imagine and contemplate things. And then once we're satisfied with what we've thought about in our own mind, we'll leave it be. When you leave it be, that's you just planted it into the subconscious. And the subconscious is going to give it right back to you exactly how you shaped it. It is, if you shape the bread as a square, it's not going to give it to you round. It's not possible, or vice versa. How you put it in is always going to come right back out. We were not taught these things. So when you pray and say, boy, I know I'm not worthy, but I desire, a wonderful job, or I desire to make 100,000 a year. And you wonder how it's not happening. You already told your subconscious you are not worthy. So the same way you put it in, it's the same way it's going to come right back at you. Same way. It can never change. It's a law. It's the law of giving and receiving. Okay? One coin, two opposite sides. It cannot miss. Never miss. Always on target. And so for those of you who just joined, I posted in the chat some notes here from the video we listened to from Reverend Ike. It says, what I call it now, law, or the 10 commandments, or his commandments. So I just took down a few things that I heard here. It says, thou shalt give right about money. So I want to address this now. Thou shalt give right about money. What is he saying? Do not say money is evil. Do not say money is hard to get. Do not say, I don't have luck with money. Don't say these things. Don't say them, don't think them. And worst of all, don't even write them. Because when you write things, that's what they call it, spelling. You have to write, when you spelling a word, you're writing it out. That is the ultimate spell against yourself, writing down these foolishness. Thou shalt always think right about money. Okay. Why do they use the word right and spell it R-I-G-H-T? Right? Similar to light, L-I-G-H-T. Where is the light when you're looking north? The light is to your right, the sun. There's no coincidence or accident why both of those words are spelled similarly, with the exception of the first letter or letters. Okay? So to the right of you is your power, the sun, the subconscious, the life giver. So eat from the tree of life, which is on the right, the life giver. Eat from that, you know. Put everything that your heart desires into that, the right side, meaning to think right. Think rightly about everything, even when it seems impossible. You say the right things. That's where we struggle. So think right about money. Do not think negatively about it. Don't say, every time I see if some money, something happens, and something always happen, and we use the word always. What do you think we do when we say stuff like that? Always. It means every time. It means to infinity. Always something pops up. So we say these things. And so said, so done, as they would say. And you like, see, I knew it. You say to yourself to confirm your expectation. You were expecting it at some point to you save the money and something is going to come along and take the money. And you won't be disappointed because you'll say, I knew it. At least I had the money. We have to start speaking differently about money. He also says, all of life currently understood is in your giving. So all of life correctly understood is in your giving. What is he saying there? Everything that we desire to receive is we have to first give it. Okay? And it's not necessarily something physical. It's generally mental. Because remember, your conscious mind is the tither, the giver of the 10%. So we're not talking about if you want a car to give a car. No. We're talking about give that to yourself. Okay? Think about the car that you desire. Think about the drivability, the experience, how it feels, will feel, the look, the appearance, the smell of the inside. Make it five sensory. What does it feel like when you touch the leather? What it feels like when you touch the car? When you feel like when you're washing it? All these type of things. Give life to yourself first, then expect it. Exactly. Perfectly said. Give life to yourself first, then expect it. Okay? If we expect that the thing we desire is not going to happen, then what you expect to happen? You get what you expect, not what you deserve. You deserve a nice car, but you don't expect to have it based on facts. So you get what you expect. Okay? So all of life correctly understood is in your giving. So anything you desire, give it to yourself. You desire a nice paycheck or vacation or whatever the case may be, give it to yourself in mind. Go into your imagination. See yourself having the experience. We weren't taught these things. We were taught to go and pray to some God in the sky to one day bless us. When you have an imagination, what you need a God for if you have an imagination? Like seriously, Why you have the imagination if you needed to go to some deity wherever it is or it is and hope that they not too busy to listen to you? Hmm? The Bible tells you wherever you go, I'm there with you. Wherever you go, isn't your imagination there with you? Have you ever gone anywhere and your imagination left you? Any? That's never happened. So it must be telling you it's your imagination that you always have. So anything you desire, imagine it. Anything. There is nothing that your imagination cannot imagine. You guys realize that? Yeah. Are you waiting on God to do it for them? Hmm? Yeah. It's the opposite. God is waiting on you. You understand? God ain't waiting on you. Ain't you can't wait for God. It's the other way around. Before you have asked, I have already given. Knock on the and seek and you shall find. Knock on the door shall be open. Okay. Before you pray, I have already heard, or I have already um, given it unto you. You know, everything is telling you is incumbent upon you. Okay, it's telling you to knock. It's telling you to seek. It didn't say, "Well, I'm gonna come seeking you. Just open the door. I'm gonna come knock. Just open the door." It is telling you you're always the first person. You're always the one to move first. The first person to move is you. Okay, and you're moving in the conscious mind. The conscious mind is the mind of desire. So you're always desiring something. All right. And as Laurencia is saying here, perfectly give life to yourself first, then expect it. And I like that. Give life to yourself first, then expect it. Then you're going to you've impregnated yourself. When a woman is pregnant, she's said to be an expecting mother. Why them say she's expecting? Because she knows she's pregnant and she's expecting a baby, not a dog, not a cat. She's expecting another human being, boy or girl, that's going to come out looking like her, or the father, or both. You understand? So life naturally shows us these things. Naturally, nature shows us these things. But it is man, or the equivalent, the mind, who is troubled by these things and operate out of sorts without operating naturally. The conscious mind cannot impregnate itself, but yet man goes around trying to do it. We've seen that a man cannot impregnate another man, or a woman impregnate a woman. We've seen that. Never happened. But yet we spend time in our own mind trying to do it, not realizing nature shows you have to have opposites, one male, one female, in order to produce. There's no other way. But we've been taught to give away our power to some God in the sky and not to the God within us, our subconscious. All right? Anything you desire, once we understand life, that it is all related to in our giving. So we receive not because we give not, or not, another way for not, zero. Okay? We give zero, we receive zero. We give confusion, we receive confusion. We give complexity, we receive complexity. It's a magical law, you know? It's a mirror. It never miss. All right. Laurentia always says here, or they will always say, always waiting on God to do it for them. Wrong doctrine. You know, they're always waiting on God because we've been taught to do that, to wait on some. If you're waiting on something that doesn't exist, nothing will happen. That's why nothing happens, because you're waiting for something that does not exist. You got people who are atheists, who are billionaires, millionaires, living an opulent, productive life, don't believe in no God, and they still produce. Isn't that amazing? And also at the same time, mind blowing that you can still produce without believing in a God in the sky or in a doctrine. Why are you still producing? Because you are God. You cannot never not be God. So whether you believe a God exists in the sky or somewhere, it doesn't matter, because you're always operating as this divine omniscient being. Always. Okay? So you don't have to believe anything to act as God. You're always acting as. But we've been taught to act, more like the devil, which is the inverting or inversion of the way we operate our consciousness. That's all it is. You invert the consciousness. You're going against. No, you're acting as the devil. Same power being used incorrectly. There's no two being that exists, just the one. Okay? What it says right here, anyone who truly learns how to give becomes rich in every way. So anyone who truly learns how to give becomes rich in every way. So rich in every way right there is telling you that it's not only about the money, but in anything that you want to be rich in health, rich in wealth, rich in friendship, rich in relationship, rich in just experiences and whatnot. Anything, you know, you have to understand that you have to give it to yourself. And again, we're giving it to ourselves in our mind. The 10%, the tithing. We imagine these things. Imagining is giving. Okay? Imagining is given. Reverend Ike says, imagination means I am magic in action. That's what he says imagination means. I am, which is the first three letters in imagination, except it says I am, but you can put the apostrophe. Okay? I am magic. That's what it's telling you. I'm magic. Imagination. That's where the word magic comes from. I am magic in action. So you're always given in mind, not necessarily in anything physical. That's what they taught us, that, giving money and stuff like that. But money is really the mind. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Money is the being, doing, and getting power of the mind. So it's telling you right there, money is not something physical or something that's tangible, as they have taught us. Okay? That's not what money is. Money is the mind itself. Okay? And Reverend Ike says the money in this aspect is female, feminine. Okay? The mind being money is feminine. All right? Because it can multiply. it can multiply, and it's emotional, just like a woman is in natural behavior, right? It's emotional. So if you talk about money, it's going to take it personal because you're talking to your mind. You're not talking to some physical uh, piece of paper or whatever. Anything you're saying about money, you're saying it about your mind. Okay? And it's going to record that and produce accordingly. So it's money is being, doing, and getting, and the getting power of the mind. So you're always being something. You're always doing something in your mind. And whatever you're being and doing in your mind is what you're going to get. All right? Money is the acquiring power of the mind. All right? So once your mind um, is being a certain thing or becomes a certain thing, and I must also mention this before I go any further. Anybody ever thought about where the word money come from and why they use that word money? Um, Money, MON, comes from the word moon. All right. Monday comes from the word moon. Used to be called Moon's Day. All right. Why? Because the moon, it moves. That's another word where the word move came from the moon. They're interrelated. Moon, move. It's something that's moving across the sky. We see it all the time. It's moving. Okay. But interestingly, though, the moon doesn't have light, but it is shining light, unless it's a lunar eclipse. Okay. But it is shining light all the time. But it has no light of its own. Zero. So what is it doing? It's reflecting light. Okay. It's reflecting the light of the sun. And so the moon has been associated with emotion or associated with um, um, the subconscious mind, the feminine that gives back what it is receiving. So the sun and the moon is in this giving and receiving relationship. Okay, the sun gives to the moon its light, and the moon receives the light. Okay, you see that? And the moon is moving. So money got its name from the moon. Money is also called currency because it's moving. Okay, they're talking about the moon, cosmology, and we don't even know it. They're relating earthly things to the mind. That's also related to the cosmos out there in the universe. Everything we see going on out there is going on here, but most people don't know that. This is all a movement in mind. Never has a table that's called a movement in mind. So anytime your mind is moving, check this out now. Anytime you're having a movement in mind, meaning that you are thinking about something, imagining something, contemplating, meditating, anytime you're doing that, there are two things going on now. The conscious mind and the subconscious mind are related. Okay? And the subconscious mind is going to reflect what the conscious mind is thinking. Just as how the moon reflects the sunlight. And the sunlight is not always full. Sometimes it's full, sometimes it's half, sometimes it's a quarter. It is telling you. Okay? Whatever the sun, whatever alignment the sun and the moon is going to reflect that. In other words, if it's a time for the moon to be a quarter moon, it cannot reflect a half or full. It will never happen. They have to be in complete alignment for it to be a full moon. And a lot of things happen when it's a full moon. A lot of things, when the moon is full. It is telling you that you are in complete alignment, or this is the best time to imagine or meditate or contemplate or, just envision, visualize. This is when your power is at is peak, when there's a full moon. Okay, and as I'm saying, money, the moon, these things move. Your mind is always moving. So that's what Reverend Ike says right here. Money is the being, doing, and getting power of the mind. Or mind power and self-image is money. So whatever self-image you have of yourself, that's your money, meaning that is your movement in mind. That is your currency. Okay? What are you currently contemplating, thinking? What's always moving in your mind? Mind power and self-image. So the power of your mind is your money. Money is your acquiring power. It says it right here. Money is the acquiring power of the mind. What is he saying there? Whatever your mind has become, or whatever you're moving towards in mind, that's exactly what is going to acquire. It is in the position now of acquiring whatever the movement in mind is. Okay? So if you're thinking lack, that is a movement in mind. Your subconscious is going to reflect the lack that's coming from your conscious mind. You are consciously feeding the subconscious that there is lack, that there is no way, that this is impossible. Okay? And the subconscious is going to reflect it as such. So we can look at these things with the cosmos, the sun and the moon. We can look at it in this instances that whenever the moon is not reflecting a full moon, it is in direct proportion of at the time, the alignment of the sun and the moon. Whenever it is that we're not getting fully what we desire, is because the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are not in full alignment. We haven't programmed the subconscious properly to receive the full alignment, the full desire. We're giving it a quarter, a half. We're not making it natural. We're hoping, as they taught us, that it is going to come to fruition. We're hoping, but we haven't done it the right way. So it doesn't matter what we hope. The sun cannot make the moon full at the wrong time. There's an alignment that it has to go through cosmically. Cannot force it. When the full moon comes in the skies, that's when it's supposed to come. It cannot come a day early or a day late. It's always on time. Okay? No one has the power to undo what we see going on. It is what it is in that sense. Okay? The sunrise, the sunfall, every day for years, millions of years, has never changed. Same thing. Okay? But our consciousness is more profound. Okay? we have the ability to go within. And in any situation that's going on right now, we can change it. We can undo it. We can manipulate it. Okay? It doesn't, it's not fixed in stone as we see the sun rising and falling. These are symbolic. Okay? Unchanging. But we can go within our consciousness and change our situation, our circumstances. How amazing is that? Because our consciousness is pliable, and life or the world takes the shape of the shape we give to our consciousness. It works off of our belief system. Whatever we believe in mind, the world reflects it. The world is a mirror reflecting what we are dressing our consciousness with or as. Okay? Our consciousness is our money. So there's no accident when we have a lack of money because our consciousness is reflecting it. I mean, the world is reflecting what our consciousness has become, our beliefs within itself, by way of our conscious or unconscious doing. Okay? And it's mostly unconscious because we've been programmed by the world, by the pastors, by the government, the politicians, by our parents, our peers, the environment, the communities, social media. All these things have programmed our consciousness, and we're operating on a subconscious level, giving it no thought whatsoever. We just regurgitate either in mind or verbally what someone has said or what someone believes without any inquiry of its truth, you know, or if it's even believable in any way. We don't have any we don't do any inquiry. We just go with the flow, so to speak. So as Reverend Ike is saying here, whatever you want, give some of it away. The 10% is what he's talking about. Whatever you want, give 10%. The 10% again is in you imagining. It's always going to be in you imagining. You imagine for a while your desire, and that is you giving to yourself. You're giving that to the greater self, the subconscious mind, the greater half, the better half, as they would say in man and woman relationship. The woman is always the better half. Have you ever heard them say the man is the better half? Anywhere? The woman is always the better half because they're relating to the subconscious. She's the one that can produce a baby. Man can't do that. Yeah. Our job is easy. The woman's job is very difficult and laboring. But we are a team. We have to recognize here, as I said, consciousness is one coin with two different sides. It's a duality. Giving and receiving is one coin with two different sides. One part give, one part receive, and then gives back what it received. You know, a woman gets impregnated by the man gives her the sex of the child, and the woman produces it in exact proportion and gives it right back as it was given. You know, cannot be a male sperm and becomes and comes out as feminine. Not possible. Okay? It's going to come right back as it was given. So it's the same thing in your own mind. You know, as I was saying, we are one. We are one unit. Male and female is one unit. We're not two. We're one bottle with an inside and an outside. It's not two bottles, but we require an inside and an outside to function, but remain one. Can't separate. That oneness is what makes everything happen. The outside represents the conscious or the male, the inside represents the female, the part of the unit or the whole that holds the substance. And whatever is in must come right back out. And whatever comes back out, it was first poured in. Whatever you pour into the bottle comes out. And whatever comes out was first poured in. So it's always a give and take. You know, it's a cycle, in and out, in and out. There's always this cycle going on within our consciousness. And as Reverend Ike say, you know, when we come to the realization, it says here that all of life correctly understood is in your giving. When we realize that everything is going to come down to your giving of yourself, of your mind, of your desire. Anything you desire to receive, you must first give it. But it is not given to a person per se, or an organization, or a charity, and all these things. That's not the giving that the Bible talks about, that scripture talks about. Everything is about giving to yourself. None of it is given to anything separate and apart from you. It's all within you. That's the first truth I want you guys to understand. Because if somebody has nothing to give, $0, what are they going to give to somebody that and they don't have it? They don't have it. So it must be talking about your consciousness. It's the only part of you that has everything, okay, without any evidence of that thing. In other words, you don't have a job, you have $0 in the bank, but you still have your consciousness in which everything is. Everything is there. And so out of this nothing, so to speak, comes everything. So all you have to do is imagine, self-talk. Some of the richest people in the world, Tyler Perry being one of those guys. What name? Steve Harvey, one of those guys. If you study these guys' story, they were on the brink of suicide, you know, didn't have $1 in the bank, living out of their car, bankrupt, no family, divorced or separated, whatever, at the bottom of the bottom at that particular time in their life. And where are they now? Hmm? They didn't go to the bank and the bank gave them some money because they felt sorry for them. No, they started to imagine about their dream, that one thing that they wanted to accomplish. You know, Steve Harvey wanted to be a great comedian, wanted to travel the country, travel the world, wanted to have his own show, all these different things that he imagined. And it was when he was in his darkest time that these things came to light. Can't see the light without the darkness. You see all the darkness out there every night, and you see the lights everywhere, that, you know, background, revealing everything. Everything is working together, the yin and the yang. you know. So there's those two guys right now, rich beyond their wildest dream, but they had given to themselves, whether they knew it or not, because they operate from a Christian perspective, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think you're given to a God in the sky. It's still going to work, depending on how you do it. Because these guys really feel and believe that they deserve what they desired. And so they got it. Okay? They really, really heartfelt, that these things they desire to have, and that they would have it, even at their lowest point. I saw this other young lady right now. When she was like 11, she said they were kicked out of their home. They were living with family. Family was treating them bad, but this one day she was like so hungry, hadn't eaten in days, and she like used that time to imagine something better. She had this vivid imagination about this big house and this lifestyle that she would be living, and she saw herself in her most dire time living the opposite of what she was facing. Imagine that. That's not easy for most people to do, to be facing death basically, and thinking about life, thinking about when the time would be the best for you, or the most blissful, the most lavish, extraordinary time that you will be experiencing. It takes a really, really good, strong mindset to overlook all those different things that you're experiencing now, to go that far in imagination, to see yourself in a better state than you're experiencing right now. And that young lady right now is experiencing exactly that. She is rich beyond her wildest dreams. Uh, the house that she was showing was bigger than this neighborhood I live in. It's like a compound. Okay? And she was having that imagination when she was 11 or so years old at the time. And 20 years later, there she is, having the experience. So what did she do there? She gave to herself. Unknown to her, she gave to herself, her subconscious mind, and now she has received it. So the law of giving leads to you receiving. That's our topic for today. The law of giving leads to you receiving. Okay? It works, it doesn't work any other way. Um, it's a universal law, works for anyone, for everyone, anywhere you are. Doesn't matter your sex, race, nationality, demographics, doesn't matter. It works, just like that, very, very naturally, and stuff like that. So, so yes, that's our topic for today, guys. The law of giving leads to receiving. So we glad that you guys were here to hear some of this truth about how to use your mind, your conscious mind and the subconscious mind. They are one. They are husband and wife. They are male and female. They are the consciousness that is God, together working in unison to produce and to create. Okay? And we're just here to learn how to use it. All right. All right. So with that said, it's now a little after 12. We're going to shut it down here, but I will be posting this back in the chat momentarily so you guys can go back over some of the earlier parts of it at your leisure. All right. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week. And we'll see you again right back here next week, Sunday, on the One Great I Am Awakening. Peace and love.